Yesterday we read about all the cards that Humphrey's friends made for Mrs. Brisbane. "Og, these cards are so nice," I shouted to my friend. "Our friends did a great job." He splashed around in a happy-sounding way. I read all the cards. The more I read, the more I wished I could make a card for Mrs. Brisbane, too. I looked over at the art supplies. Markers, crayons, glue, and glitter make a very nice-looking card. But I also knew they were dangerous, at least to hamsters. Hamsters like me don't wash our paws in soap and water. In fact, soap and water aren't good for us at all. No, no, no. We groom ourselves using our tongues and paws. So if I got glue or markers on my paws and licked it off, I might get very sick. Maybe I could add some pizzazz. Mr. E has suggested that. But I looked and couldn't find a jar or bottle marked pizzazz. I just have to make a plain card like just Joey's. I went slowly back to my cage. All the cards were great, but one stuck in my mind. Kelsey had said she hoped Mrs. Brisbane would be up on her toes soon. Up on her toes? That sounded like a clue. Was Mrs. Brisbane actually going to be a ballet dancer? I tried to imagine our teacher with her short gray hair and her sensible shoes twirling around like a ballerina. She didn't look like the dancer in Kelsey's music box, but if Mrs. Brisbane wanted to be a ballerina, then that's what she should, even though I think she makes a better teacher. I pulled out my little notebook and pencil from behind my mirror. First, I added a clue to my list. Clue 5. Mrs. Brisbane may be learning to be a ballet dancer. I wasn't sure about that, so I added a couple of question marks. Next, I turned the page and thought about what to write to my teacher. I wanted to say just the right thing. I thought and thought and thought and thought some more. Sometimes it's easier to say something you feel in your heart with a poem, and so I wrote, "Roses are red, violets are blue. Oh, Mrs. Brisbane, how much I miss you." I looked it over and liked it, so I signed it. Humphrey. I read it to Og. "Boing, boing, boing, boing," he twanged. "Oops, sorry, Og," I replied. Then I added, "Og too." "I signed your name too, Og," I assured my neighbor. He can't write. At least I don't think he can write. And he doesn't have a notebook. If he did, it would have to be waterproof. I tore the page from the notebook, but when I looked at it, it seemed a little too plain. I didn't know how to make it fancier. I looked around my cage and dug around in my bedding. All I came up with was a tiny piece of carrot I'd saved and the strawberry Kelsey had brought. It was the juiciest strawberry I'd ever seen. "Og, I have a great idea," I squeaked. I rubbed my paws all over the strawberry to get them nice and juicy. Then I made little red paw prints around the edge. It looked very nice, if I do say so myself. And when it was finished, I licked the red juice off my paws. Yummy. Of course, then I had to take the card over to the desk. I picked up the paper with my teeth, jiggled the lock that doesn't lock, and opened the door to my cage. Og splashed gently in his tank as I passed by. "Oh," I said. Of course, as soon as I opened my mouth, the paper dropped to the table. "Sorry, Og," I said. "I wish you could add your mark too." "Boing," Og answered, splashing. "Maybe you can." "I'm leaving the card here," I explained. "Then I'll go behind my cage, splash some water, and then I'll come back for the card." I left the paper near his tank, scurried away, and squeaked. "Now!" Og splashed and splashed some more. "Not too much," I said. "You can stop now." I waited until Og stopped splashing and raced back to the paper. There were several little watermarks on the paper now. I hoped Mrs. Brisbane wouldn't know that Og had made them. I picked up the paper with my teeth again and made my second trip of the night down the table leg and back to the desk. The stack of cards was now a mound of cards. There was no way a small hamster could stack them all up again, so I just pushed my card in the pile. Then I made the long trek back to my cage and closed the door behind me. Morning light streamed in through the window, and I was worn out. "Good night, Og," I said as I crawled into my sleeping hut. Good morning. I guess he was tired too, because he didn't answer, not even one boing. Or if he did answer, I couldn't hear him because I was soundly asleep. Humphrey's Detectionary. Finding clues can make you unsqueakably tired.